got my hands on an apocrypha, so I'm reading some things that are definitely not in your Bible. This is called the Letter of Jeremiah. This so-called letter of Jeremiah professes to be a copy of a letter sent by Jeremiah in 597 BC to the Jews who were about to be taken captive to Babylon. It is an earnest, though rambling discourse against the folly of idolatry. It can be characterized as an impassionate sermon of Jeremiah 10 and 11, a verse in Aramaic, which provides the exiled Jews a response when invited to participate in the worship of idols. Thus you shall say to them, the gods who did not make the heavens and the earth shall perish from the earth and from under the heaven. Elaborating on this text, the author draws upon Jeremiah 10 and Psalm 115, Isaiah 40 and 41, for a variety of arguments to prove the utter impotence, primary importance, whether for good or ill, of gods of wood and silver of gold. Impotence. Impotence of the gods of wood. The style of the tract is florid and declamatory. He says that this person who wrote this introduction, says there's no logical connection in the sequence of the statements. On the basis of the linguistic and historical considerations, most scholars date this letter of Jeremiah in the Hellenistic period. 7 generations of exile mentioned 40 years for a generation would imply a date of 280 years after the exile, 597. Other think the later is dated still during the Maccabean period. The original language was probably Hebrew, though some think it was written in Aramaic or Greek. The oldest manuscript remains is a tiny fragment of a Greek papyrus discovered in a cave number 7, V11, at Qumran, Qumran, by the Dead Sea. It's thought to be dated from 100 BC. The letter stands at different places in various manuscripts and versions, appears as a separate book somewhere between Lamentations and Ezekiel in 2 different ancient Greek manuscripts of the Old Testament. It's the 4th century Codex Vaticanus and the 5th century Codex Alexandrinus in the Syriac Hexplar manuscript at Milan in the Arabic version. Greek and Syriac manuscripts, as well as Latin, attached this apocryphal book to Baruch, and consequently many English translations include it as its 6th chapter of that book. However, this letter is independent composition, has nothing to do with Baruch. Okay, so I'm going to read you it. It's not very long. Maybe I lied. It's 70 lines, okay? The last line starts with like a scarecrow in a cucumber bed. Here we go. This is the letter of Jeremiah. Okay, it's a copy of the letter which Jeremiah sent to those who were to be taken to Babylon as captives by the king of the Babylonians, to give them a message which God had commanded him. Because of the sins which you have committed before God, you will be taken to Babylon as captives by Nebuchadnezzar, the king of the Babylonians. Therefore, when you have come to Babylon, you will remain there for many years, for a long time, up to 7 generations. After that, I will bring you away from there in peace. Now, in Babylon, you will see gods made of silver, gold, and wood, which are carried on men's shoulders and inspire fear in the heathen. So take care not to become at all like the foreigners, or to let fear of these gods possess you when you see the multitude before and behind them worshiping them. But say in your heart, it is thou, O Lord, whom we must worship. For my angel is with you, and he is watching your lives. Their tongues are smoothed by the craftsmen, and they themselves are overlaid with gold and silver, but they are false. They can't speak. People take gold and make crowns for the heads as heads for their gods, as they would a girl who loves ornaments. And sometimes the priests secretly take gold and silver from the gods and spend it on themselves, and even give some of it to the harlots in the brothel. They deck their gods out with garments like men, these gods of silver, gold, and wood, which cannot save themselves from rust and corrosion. When they have been dressed in purple and robes, their faces are white because the dust of the temple is so thick upon them. Like a local ruler, the god holds a scepter, though unable to destroy anyone who offends it. It has a dagger in its right hand and an axe, but it cannot save itself from war and robbers. Therefore, they're evidently not gods. Do not fear them. Just as one's dish is useless when it's broken, so are the gods of the heathen. When they have been set up in his temples, their eyes are full of dust, raised by the feet of those who enter. And just as the gates are shut on every side as a man who has offended a king as though he were sentenced to death, so the priests make their temples secure with doors and locks and bars in order that they may not be plundered by robbers. They light lamps even more than they light for themselves, though their gods can see none of them. They are just like a beam of the temple. But men say their hearts have melted when worms from the earth devoured them in their robes. They do not notice when their faces have been blackened by the smoke of the temple. Bats, swallows, birds light on the bodies and the heads, so do the cats. From this you will know that they are not gods. Do not fear them. As for the gold which they wear for beauty, they will not shine unless someone wipes off the rust. For even when they are being cast, they had no feeling. They are bought at any cost. But there's no breath in them. Having no feet, they're carried on men's shoulders, revealing to mankind their worthlessness. And those who serve them are ashamed, because through them these gods are made to stand, lest they fall to the ground. If anyone sets one of them upright, it cannot move of itself, and if it is tipped over, it cannot straighten itself. Gifts are placed before them just like before the dead. The priests sell the sacrifices that are offered to these gods, and they use the money. And likewise their wives preserve some with salt, but give none to the poor and helpless. Sacrifice to them may be touched by women in menstruation or childbirth, since you know that these things, they are not gods. Don't fear them. Why should they be called gods? Women serve meals for gods of silver, gold, and wood, and in their temples the priests sit with their clothes rent, their heads beards shaved, their heads uncovered. They howl and shout before their gods, as some do at a funeral feast for a man who has died. The priests take some of the clothing of their gods to clothe their wives and children. Whether one does evil to them or good, they will not be able to repay it. They cannot set up a king or dispose one. Likewise, they are not able to give either wealth or money. If one makes a vow to them and does not keep it, they will not require it. They cannot save a man from death or rescue the weak from the strong. They cannot restore sight to the blind man. They cannot rescue a man who's in distress. They cannot take pity on a widow or do good to an orphan. These things are made of wood and overlaid with gold and silver, like stones from the mountain. And those who serve them will be put to shame. Shame, shame. Why then must anyone think they are gods or call them gods? Besides, even the Chaldeans themselves dishonor them, for when they see a dumb man who can't speak, they bring him and pray, Bel, that the man may speak, as through Bel we're able to understand. Yet they themselves cannot perceive this and abandon them, for they have no sense. And the women with cords about them sit along in the passageways, burning brand for incense. When one of them is led off by one of the passerbys, it is lain with. She derides the woman next to her because she was not as attractive as herself, and her cord was not broken. Whatever is done for them is false. Why then must anyone think that they are gods or call them gods? They are made by carpenters and goldsmiths. They can be nothing but what the craftsmen wish them to be. The men that make them will certainly not live very long themselves. How then can the things that are made by them be gods? They have left only lies and reproach for those who come after. For when war or calamity comes upon them, the priests consult together as to where they can hide themselves and their gods. How then can one fail to see that these are not gods? For they cannot save themselves from war or calamity, since they are made of wood and overlaid with gold and silver. It will afterward be known that they are false. It will be manifest to all the nations and kings that they are not gods, but the work of men's hands, and there is no work of God in them. Who then can fail to know that they are not gods? For they cannot set up a king over a country, or give reign to men. They cannot judge their own cause, or deliver one who's wronged. For they have no power. They're like crows between the heaven and earth. When fire breaks out in a temple of wooden gods, overlaid with gold or silver, their priests flee and escape. The gods will be burnt in two like beams. Besides, they can offer no resistance to a king or enemies. Why then must anyone admit or think that they are gods? Gods made of wood overlaid with silver and gold are not able to save them from thieves or robbers. Strong men will strip them of gold and silver in the robes they wear and go off with the booty, and they will not be able to help themselves. So it's better to be king who shows his courage, or a household utensil that serves its owner needs, than to be a false god. Better even the door of a house that protects its contents than these false gods. Better also a wooden pillar in a palace than false gods. For sun and moon and stars shining and sent forth for service are obedient. So also the lightning, when it flashes, is widely seen, and the wind likewise blows in every land. When God commands the clouds to go over the whole world, they carry out his command. And the fire sent from above to consume mountains and woods does what is ordered. But these idols are not to be compared with them in appearance or power. Therefore one must not think that they are gods, nor call them gods, for they are not able either to decide a case or to do good to men. Since you know then that they are not gods, do not fear them, for they can neither curse nor bless kings. They cannot show signs in heavens and among nations, or shine like the sun, or give light like the moon. The wild beasts are better than them, for they can flee and cover themselves and help themselves. So, we have no evidence whatever that they are gods. Therefore, do not fear them. Like a scarecrow in a cucumber bed that guards nothing, so are the gods of wood overlaid with gold and silver. In the same way, their gods of wood overlaid with gold and silver are like a thorn bush in a garden on which every bird sits, or like a dead body cast out into darkness. By the purple and linen that rot upon them, you will know that they are not gods, and they will finally themselves be consumed and be a reproach in the land. Better, therefore, is a just man who has no idols, for he will be far from reproach.